budget Yu-Gi-Oh decks. My boy. The rent's due. There's no food in the refrigerator. And more importantly, the best thing I got is the change in the bottom of my car. Today, we are going to be talking about the top budget Yu-Gi-Oh decks, like players that are on a grind, 9 to 5, trying to save up for Christmas, or maybe a Yu-Gi-Oh player that wants to try out a new strategy. Let's go ahead and jump on in. What's going on with y'all big dogs? And it is an amazing day for Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope that's your day phenomenal. But if it isn't, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Budget tier list. My broke friends, we are here. Today, I'm going to be ranking these Yu-Gi-Oh! Strategies based on not only how strong they are, more importantly, how much bang can you get for your buck, and of course, adding more money, will it make these Yu-Gi-Oh! Strategies stronger? Another thing to keep in mind for these Yu-Gi-Oh! decks are potential future support. And if you think that I am missing a particular Yu-Gi-Oh! strategy, let me know down below in the comment section. I think I did a really good job of adding quite a few Yu-Gi-Oh! strategies you guys wanted me to talk about, but let's go ahead and start off with Dynamorphia. Dynamorphia has strangely enough been one of the best investments for a Yu-Gi-Oh! strategy. When you think about it, this deck was about $20 to invest into, and over the last few years, it has outperformed that $20. Look, big dogs, you guys can go on Fig for $20, and you still won't get the value that you would get for this deck. I will say it is a Yu-Gi-Oh! strategy that's a little bit dated, but still potential investment. With the deck losing a card like Solemn Judgment, I think that's pretty huge, but still having access to cards like Iron Thunder, Dynamorphia finds itself in a really interesting spot. It is still roughly $5 to play this entire Yu-Gi-Oh! deck. So from that perspective, it's probably always worth it to have it. Moving on to Heroes. This is the Yu-Gi-Oh! strategy that you guys really wanted me to talk about, and I really hate to break you guys' hearts. I don't know if it was on Batman or if Jay-Z said it first, but it goes amongst the lines of, you live long enough to be a hero, you see yourself become a villain. And heroes have been villainizing the meta by being so freaking atrocious. Please play the Rent Brother. The only crime you're going to be fighting if you decide to pick heroes as a potential budget Yu-Gi-Oh! strategy that can go against the top decks is your homelessness. You can pick. You can fight people like the Joker at the mental asylum for thinking that this deck is strong enough, or you can fight people under a bridge like Batman or Bats from Batman. Because unfortunately, you played yourself. This deck is not a good deck. I really hate to talk about Heroes in this way because they are a really cool deck and I love their aesthetic. But Heroes' biggest problem in Yu-Gi-Oh! right now is that they do way too much and not enough of something that's actually good. But I do think that in the very near future, Konami will actually start branching off heroes and making them their own deck, like Elemental Heroes being very playable as an Elemental Hero deck, Destiny Heroes, Evil Heroes, and so forth, but only time will tell. Tri-Brigade in our last budget tier list I said was pretty good, and I'm gonna double down and say that it's still a good potential investment. What's crazy is that the branded lore strategies are actually getting support, except for Sword Soul. The new Tri-Brigade card from Burst Protocol, Tri-Brigade Spriggan's Kit, is pretty awesome. Not only is it a part of the BBW clan by being a beast monster, it allows you to be able to special summon itself to the side of the field, and then when it's sent to the graveyard, you can special summon a Tri-Brigade monster from your graveyard. Actually a solid Yu-Gi-Oh! card. Now please, Konami, give us some Sword Soul support. Rose Dragon topped a regional, and I gotta say, my bad, I wasn't aware of your game. Who would have guessed in a Yu-Gi-Oh! format where destruction is important that Rose Dragons can destroy? Not only can it do that, it turns all monsters on the field plants, but makes it really tricky for some of the other Yu-Gi-Oh! strategies to play because they're plants. I think Rose Dragon is a potential investment. Big dogs, I wouldn't get my britches way too high over one Rose Dragon top, but I will start looking at the deck a little bit differently. Ironically enough, it does have quite a few ultra rares and secret rares, so it could be a potential investment type strategy. Megaliths are also really good. Brother man, I think Megalith just might be on the Dynamorphia track. This entire Yu-Gi-Oh deck, you won't believe how much it cost you. $1, 2, 3, 4, $5. Look, man, they don't even sell footlongs for $5 anymore. The fact that you can get a collaboration of Yu-Gi-Oh cards for that much in this economy is kind of crazy. I would also say that this Yu-Gi-Oh strategy is a potential investment. The Megalith cards are way better than what Yu-Gi-Oh players are giving it credit. The deck is kind of like Mitsurugi. It has some ridiculous ritual summons, with cards that allow you to ritual summon from the graveyard, from the deck. Hell, you can ritual summon using ritual monsters to summon ritual monsters from your hand. That's what the deck does. And the new card, Megalith Notra Pura, is Notra Pura Hell. I don't know, anytime Konami gives you a Yu-Gi-Oh card that says negate the activation, doesn't really have any drawbacks other than tributing your opponent's monsters, I gotta say, it might be a little better than what people were giving it credit. At the very least, this is a really crazy Genesis deck with modern Yu-Gi-Oh potential. Now, DDD, you gotta lock in if you ever want to give your opponent the D. And I don't mean Diddy. I mean that using different dimension demons on a whole different level is gonna require a brain of proper magnitude. In fact, Diddy's different demons from the different dimension of North Dakota is actually really easy to play if you know what you're doing. I think that this deck actually is a good price Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Some of the better players in the game have been experimenting with it, and this deck is also another one of those fairly cheap decks. It's topped a couple of regionals, and it showed itself on a couple of streams. Though I will say it is a Yu-Gi-Oh strategy you need to put a lot of time and effort from. It gets the Cali stamp of approval being a pendulum deck. That says a lot of what I think about DDD. Moving on to Fire King. Fire King has completely reinvented itself, being a Fire King Dino deck. Destroying Draco Megalo gets you Draco Astro to the graveyard, meaning that you can nuke the field whenever you want to. Torrential Tribute without having to play the trap card, except you get the destroy spells and trap cards too. This is easily one of the best budget decks in the game, and if you want to get a little bit more bang for your buck, Dominus Impulse is a crazy strong card. This card not only helped Fire King become a stronger deck, being able to compete against the best decks in the game, it also was a card that does not hurt the strategy whatsoever. So yeah, definitely Fire King is one of the best budget decks in the game right now. Now listen here, big dog, I know you are broke, but you still need some sleeves, and I just so happen to have the #1 sleeve in the universe, and also the cheapest sleeve when it comes to my competitors. Raven Wing version 4. It means that I had not once, not twice, not 3, but 4 times to get it right. And we there. Version 4 not only comes with a new color and slightly longer sleeve so you can double sleeve, it also is the cheapest sleeve on the market, like I said. So make sure you go to TheCaliEffect.com and pick up your sleeves today before it's too late. We be selling out, my brother. And also while you're there, you can pick up some mats. We actually even have a bundle deal right now for you guys, budget players, so you can get your mats and your sleeves today. Now, rightfully so, you guys complained about me not talking about Blue Eyes. And I gotta say, my bad. I ain't gonna lie to you guys. I was not feeling Kaiba Man the Legend, but I'm kind of feeling Kaiba Man the Legend. I'm not saying that that's a competitive version of Blue Eyes. I'm saying it's a fun version of Blue Eyes. And anytime you can have the fun version be pretty decent alongside of an actual competitive version being budget, the Primite cards are now cheap enough, I think Blue Eyes deserves that title as a budget bowl. One of the better budget decks in the game right now. Now, Branded just got the Chronicles The Fallen, an all-foil structure deck. It did come with a couple of cool cards, but more importantly, people were gooning over the anime. What exactly does that make Branded? Well, if you guys remember that Tri-Brigade card that I talked about a little earlier, the card also has another hidden effect. It can summon Fallen Albaz or a card that mentions it, and it's a light monster. Yeah, I would actually say that Branded is... it's actually getting there. Who am I kidding? I'm not even gonna lie. Branded's a good price Yu-Gi-Oh deck. For $30, you can pick up a branded Yu-Gi-Oh deck, and things feel right with the world. I think Branded is performing pretty decent when all things are considered, and then you have to combine that it is getting more support. Where's my Sword Soul support though? Now, brother, Tempai Dragon in the Big 2-5 is diabolical, and I absolutely hate that it's taken me 10 months to start saying the Big 2-5. It's actually, I don't know, it's kind of catchy. I think that Tempai Dragon is hard to justify. Brother man, why would you ever play Tempai Dragon when you can play Dragon Roller? Dragon Roller does all of the things that Tempai Dragon does except it can go first. I don't know, something about normal summoning Archlord Christia kind of makes me feel good about myself. Maybe it's because it used to be the channel icon, but only the real ones know about that. And to be honest, if I were to put Dragon Rulers anywhere, it would be potential investment. So it'd be really hard to say that Tempai as a pure deck would be better. Now for Mermail, it's pretty freaking obvious. I will tell you that your ceiling is pretty much already reached, but this is one of the best decks in the game. It feels really good to know that the fire deck and the water deck are ultra competitive in Yu-Gi-Oh right now. I absolutely love it personally, and I want you guys to let me know, what do you think about this firestorms over Atlantis that's been happening for a couple of decades, or at least it felt like it. I know a lot of you guys don't like Mermail, but it is one of my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh strategies. It's pretty interesting to watch. Now RB had all the potential, all of the potential. Brother man, you started off with some really good cards, but the new support, you're killing me! As the kids would say it, holy airball. Chat, the last time that I seen a miss this big, I was addressing a really, really large woman. RB had all of the potential, but if I'm being honest, it's still better than Hero, so I'm gonna put it in hard to justify. Now, Sword Soul is 100% hard to justify, I'm not gonna lie. The best thing about Sword Soul is that it was one of the better decks that can go into Better on the Floor. Better on's banned. The next best thing about Sword Soul is that it was one of the best decks that can use Arc Nemesis Protos. That ship's pretty much sailed. Now, Sulpha Court, I ain't gonna lie, we read those card effects. I still don't remember what they do. I know you get into the pendulum summon, they summon themselves to the side of the field. I ain't gonna lie, like this actually is not bad. One thing that pendulum players will probably forever have an advantage over when it comes to other Yu-Gi-Oh players is reading. Because holy God, you bookworm. If you actually spent the time to read all of those card effects and memorize them, you probably deserve the win when it matters the most. Sometimes Yu-Gi-Oh isn't about having the stronger deck. Sometimes it's about having the work ethic more than anyone else. Or just having a deck that's so obnoxiously annoying nobody wants to read it. Sulpha Court, it is actually good. Now Fire Kings are good, so surely Jiracs are good. They're good. They're not good. Dinos in totality are down bad, my brothers. In actuality, dinos really do have that hero problem. You got your Soul Eating and your Baby Sarasaurus, but then you got your Lost Worlds and your Jirac cards. This deck is pretty much everywhere with no clear indication on what it really wants to do. And with Miscellaneous Saris at 1, it's probably never gonna happen, brother. Doom Z is holy, who scammed somebody into thinking this was a good deck? Brother, I'm not gonna lie, we should have seen equip cards, noticed that it wasn't Infernoble, and checked ourselves out, because even Infernoble is trash. It's been trash for quite some time. Brothers, you guys had 2 months in the spotlight in the TCG, and nobody still plays with y'all in Master Duel. Let's keep it a bean, my brother. I'm not trying to disrespect the Fire Warriors, but if we are being statistically correct, it ain't been a thing. But we're not talking about y'all, because you guys are way better than Doom Z. It should pretty much go without saying that Yugioh is, it's one of the best budget decks. And the same with Draco. These are probably the #1 Yu-Gi-Oh decks, with Draco being way ahead when it comes to what deck should you pick that will last the longest and will still be decently cheap. Draco just recently came out, so no hits to the ban list and possibly no hits to the ban list anytime soon. And while Yugioh is on the end of its shelf life, it's still a really, really powerful deck. I had so much hope in Psychics, especially seeing that they got a new fusion monster that's a super poly target, but I'm not gonna lie, a lot of that all died down when Moon of the Closed Heaven was banned. I think it's hard to justify. Now, I promise you, I'm still going to build a Psychic Yu-Gi-Oh deck, a Cash Tira Psychic Yu-Gi-Oh deck with a board so powerful you can't stop it. But you guys will probably say that I'm coping, which is probably spot on, I'm not gonna lie. Sky Striker, in my opinion, are a good priced Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Very, very solid, very strong. One of the better decks in the game. I would actually put it in here, but I think that these for budget players is just a little bit better. Memento is also, I would put it here, but I would probably put it right here. These decks are a lot easier to play than Memento. This deck is very, very hard to play. It's actually DDD levels of hard to play. It looks straightforward. The only thing straight is probably the player. Now keep in mind, I said probably. Yu-Gi-Oh players is freaky. Again, when it comes to ease of being able to win a high level event, this one's pretty tough. Now, Voiceless Voice isn't a bad deck, but it's definitely hard to justify. Yes, low of the Voiceless Voice, get low on it. Get low, get low, get low, get low, get low to the windows. Wrong low. And the deck does create some situations that's hard to do, but the problem with it is the deck is just way too slow right now. Yugioh's on an ultralight beam right now. It's way too fast. Voiceless Voice can't keep up. But if we get that branded fusion at 3, maybe a branded Voiceless Voice. Pearly is 100%, in my opinion, a potential investment. This deck is not bad. Actually, kind of good. I think a couple of factors are for Pearly. 1 is the ban list, 2 is Fiendsmith. Both of those things make Pearly a really secret killer deck. Next, you guys wanted me to talk about Raid Raptor, which unfortunately is probably one of the worst decks known to man. I'm not saying that disrespectfully. I love Raid Raptors, and I love my Raid Raptor players. Look, hear me out. How many people you know that hate Raid Raptors got two? These things, they QCRs. 2.5 card combo. Monster on the field that can lose to decks like Lunalight, Access Code Talker, Memento. Your monster's not a threat anymore. I'm so sorry, brothers, but that's just the truth. And lastly is Malice. Him and his brother Push should probably get second place for Album of the Year because GNX is still in my rotation. But I gotta say, this is still budget baller, fellas. And that is all that I have for the budget tier list. Excited to know what do you guys think about this list. Of course, if you think I missed a Yu-Gi-Oh strategy, go ahead and let me know down below. And also be sure to check out these videos so I can get you on the next one.